Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Drapers Connects. My name is Graeme Moran, and I am the Associate Editor of Drapers. Thank you all for joining us today. Drapers Connects is our series of Q&A discussions, panel talks, and webinars such as this that aim to bring the fashion and retail industry together. As well as our live webinars, you can also access the archive of past webinars at drapersonline.com. Today, in partnership with TikTok, we'll be discussing how to win at TikTok Shop. We'll hopefully bring you a guide to success with insights from Asos, from Kaiia the label, and TikTok Shop's own head of fashion. So thank you to our panel for joining us. Let's kick some things off with some introductions. Jen, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Jennifer Ember. I work here at Asos. I'm one of the heads of transformation. Essentially, our team is responsible for executing all operational change across the business's key strategic pillars. So we have lots of different projects that are within our area, one of which was TikTok Shop this year.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Qasim, over to you.
Hi, my name's Qasim. I'm the owner and CEO of Kaiia the label. We actually started selling on TikTok and are very synonymous with TikTok Shop. Very passionate about selling on TikTok Shop. Our brand and our product range really allows itself to sell on TikTok, and it's something that's central to our strategy. So really looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you very much. Flavia, over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Flavia, and I am one of the fashion leaders here at TikTok Shop. And sort of our main responsibility within the team is to onboard and upscale and ensure successes for fashion retailers, fashion brands, and everyone else in the fashion industry.
Excellent. Thank you all. To our audience, if you are watching live, please get involved. Send your questions in via Zoom's Q&A function, and we will do our best to answer them throughout. Let's get started. We have all obviously witnessed the meteoric rise of social media, and with that, social commerce. TikTok, the video content platform, has taken the world by storm, and it launched its social commerce capabilities, TikTok Shop, in 2023. Brands and retailers across many industries have gotten involved and seen great success. Just last month, I was reading about the beauty brand P. Louise, which set the record for the most revenue generated on TikTok Shop by a UK brand, apparently making over £1.5 million in just 12 hours. So clearly, TikTok Shop has a lot of potential for brands and retailers, particularly those in fashion. So Flavia, speaking from TikTok, could you kick us off with a quick introduction to TikTok Shop and how that works in relation to brands, retailers, and this idea of social commerce?
Absolutely. So I think in just a few words, and to make it very simple, you can think of TikTok Shop as very much the commerce extension of TikTok, whereby you can click to purchase from live short videos within seconds. It's basically converting interest into sales via content from your community, never having to leave the app. I think important to say that businesses can tap into a full commerce experience with the capability to upload products, manage everything from shipping to fulfillment and point of purchase. I think in order to give a little bit of context, I think it's important to understand sort of what's happening with shopping and e-commerce. And it's quite obvious that shopping is currently set for a revolution. E-commerce is rapidly growing globally, and believe it or not, the UK is at the forefront of this growth. To give you some context and a little bit of numbers, the UK is the third largest e-commerce market, with expectations to surpass around 2 billion in annual e-commerce sales in 2026. However, since it's constantly evolving, people today want commerce that entertains them, enables them to participate, and connect them to people they believe and trust. And this is basically social discovery community conversational commerce, and this is what we call shop entertainment, which, you know, most of you should be familiar, hopefully by now, with the era of TikTok made me buy it, which sort of like paved the way of TikTok being the new storefront for customers. And I think through this panel, we will discuss what we call internally the 4 Cs, which are pillars, which is the purchasing force on TikTok, from communities to content creators, which leads to sort of like closing that loop commerce.
Excellent. Thank you, Flavia. Jen, I thought I would, obviously we've got two brands and retailers on the panel who are quite different. So Jen, from your point of view, you know, Asos has been around for several years now, before TikTok and TikTok Shop even existed. But obviously when it did launch and when it did expand into TikTok Shop, you had to change and at some point adapt your social strategy and of course your social commerce strategy. For any businesses listening and considering getting more involved in TikTok and TikTok Shop, could you talk us through Asos's process when it came to, you know, giving more time and energy to TikTok and specifically TikTok Shop?
So Asos established in the year 2000. So as you can imagine, since that time, we've seen a huge shift within social commerce. It's changed numerous amounts of times. And as you said, this is something that we have to adapt to. So we have a huge customer base. We are at the forefront for young customers. However, you really do need to recognise and see where they are and where they're spending most of their time. And particularly for those 20-somethings, a lot of their time is spent on TikTok. It's something, even Flavia said, it's unavoidable. It's where they are. That's what makes it a great partnership between Asos and TikTok Shop and TikTok, is that we have that similar audience. So we have those common goals. We were actually in conversation from probably the latter part of last year. We started conversations with TikTok around TikTok Shop and what opportunities there would be. And we actually made the decision within February. So it actually launched at the end of March. So it was really fast in terms of launching. And that's something we would always encourage businesses, is to give things a try. You need to think about your audience, where they relate to, and then think how you would do it and how you can do it quickly. Because as we all know, social commerce changes all of the time. So it's certain things that you can't just wait and sit on. You have to start to look at. So the main areas were sportswear, I believe, in terms of those bigger fashion brands. Asos were then fairly early in terms of those bigger other fashion brands that joined the platform. You just need to make sure you adapt and you are where your audience are.
Definitely. Now over to Kaiia. I would say you're a native of TikTok. You know, you were born in the time of TikTok as a business. What was your strategy and how impactful has TikTok Shop been to your growth?
Yeah, I think we were quite lucky where we had an established brand called Public Desire, where Instagram was really taking off at the time, and we noticed how important social media is to growing a brand. The same sort of thing happened with TikTok, where we noticed from the dance video days that this has really got the potential to become something that could be an amazing platform for entertainment, for shopping. So we really were proactive in regards to, okay, we need to put a strategic plan in place to really embrace TikTok and make it at the forefront of our whole social media strategy. So, you know, for us, we really want to make sure that it's, and a word that I'm going to keep using is create a community. So for us, we know through the live shopping platform, through the TikTok lives, through the affiliate program, it's all about, you know, building and evolving the live community that we can build and really get people passionate about Kaiia, really talking about the quality of the fits, the amazing new styles that we bring in, and our community are advocates and a wider representative of the Kaiia brand. So for us, it was just a turbo boost way of really building the brand, but doing it in a way where the customer is not just a customer, they feel part of the Kaiia community. And TikTok lives, you know, we have people coming on our lives who are just there for a chat. We had a girl last night and she came for the presenter and she goes, "Oh, amazing! I'm actually doing my coursework, but I just want to hear you in the background just talking about Kaiia." So, you know, it's not just about the product; it's about the brand building and the community feel of TikTok. And for us, you know, community is such a big aspect of what we are about. It's not just about shoving the product down the customer's throat. It's about really building that community out and keep evolving with that.
Definitely, thank you. In preparation for this session, we worked on trying to really distill down some advice for our audience, and we came up with 4 pillars of the TikTok Shop ecosystem that we think brands and retailers should be focusing on. So we're going to go through them quickly for the next section of the webinar. Number 1, we have creators and community. Number 2, product. Number 3, content. And number 4, very importantly, trust. Let's start with creators and community. Obviously, Qasim, you said community is so important, and I think you're right, it's a word that's going to come up a lot today. Flavia, why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit about creators, why they're important when it comes to TikTok Shop, and kind of the different, or a little insight into the different types of relationships that brands and retailers can have with them.
Of course. I think not just TikTok Shop, I think TikTok in general, right? Creators really are the lifeblood of TikTok, and they play such a unique role in helping to connect brands with highly engaged audience. I think when brands include creators as part of their storytelling, it really builds relationship with the community and drives results. And this is simply because people view creators as authentic experts in these areas. And we all know that creators on TikTok show up completely different. You know, they are the foundation of authentically forging trust and credibility within TikTok communities. And as Qasim mentioned, you know, community is such an important part of TikTok Shop strategy. And as important as it is for a brand to build their own community, creators have different communities and different people following them and their own communities. So obviously the reach goes kind of like above and beyond. I think a story I always like to say around creators is, you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have social media. So sort of like thinking back of who would influence my life, I would think, you know, maybe like Julia Roberts or, you know, like celebrities, those were the ones that would influence sort of our life. Today, for like the next generation, those are creators. They're people they follow, and tenly, they follow people for specific reasons. So, you know, if I struggle with a really bad acne issue, and, you know, people will follow me probably because they have a similar issue or they can relate to me. So that community will be there because we share something similar. And if I was to put forward some products, you know, because I'm using it to treat this issue, the chances of them converting will be much higher because it is authentic and we share something in common. I think we see creators as a key to helping brands unlock the e-commerce opportunities on TikTok, connect with their community, and build engaging consumer experience that make shopping exciting and entertaining. And in fact, 71% of TikTok users, I think today, say that it's creators' authenticity, excuse my French accent, that motivates them to buy from a brand. So goes without saying that it is really important. And I think both Jen and Qasim will speak about their own sort of experience with creators, but they really are sort of like our driving force.
Definitely, thank you. As Flavia said, Jen, could you tell us, I know for Asos, creators are currently the focus of how you are operating within TikTok Shop. Can you share some details on this and why you're currently taking that approach?
Oh, so I think, as Flavia said, it's around the communities, and then the creators are part of those communities. So if we kind of start with the communities, it's really important to listen to your audience, understand what they want from that channel, and then how you can add value to their time on that channel. That's kind of the first thing to think about when you're thinking about your creative strategy. The second thing is to ensure your creative strategy is considering the different priority communities that make up your target customer. So these creators are authentically placed within that community, and nobody's put them there. They're part of that community. And it's being able to advise, influence, and advocate for your brand authentically. As a fashion brand, we're not just working with your typical fashion influencers. You've got to kind of think outside the box. You need to engage with the community. You can't just think that creators posting is going to be enough. You need to be showing up in comments, etc. And you need to also think about your role of community, etc., outside of social. Maybe that's the real life interactions, etc. But you need to think of it on kind of that multi-level. In terms of the creators that are part of those communities, so we did start with what we call, I think in TikTok terms, a target creator plan, a marketing plan. Essentially, that means that we worked with a number of specific creators. It kind of helps with that launch moment in that you can talk to the creator about what you're trying to achieve, what the goal is, what the vision is, etc. for ASOS on TikTok Shop. And then after that, we moved to something called an open plan, which is essentially if somebody is a verified TikTok user, so they tick a number of boxes within that, then they can essentially choose the ASOS product and start linking it within their content. So the idea of us being able to do this is we want to make sure that people are choosing the product because they want to choose the product, not because they're being forced. I think that's really key as part of this. Even when we were part of our target market plan with those select users for that launch moment, actually, quite surprisingly, it was a lot of the micro influencers and organic creators that actually did really well. They appeared multiple times in our top 5 and top 10, whereas actually you might instinctively, as I did, think it would be mainly your larger I suppose your creators with the much larger following. So that was really key as part of that as well, is to make sure that people are posting because they want to and it aligns with their community and their brand.
Excellent advice. Thank you, Jen. Qasim, what about you? What is Kaiia's approach to creators, and do you have any advice for people listening from your point of view?
Yeah, just echoing what both Jen and Flavia said about creators being so central to TikTok and to any brand that wants to be successful on TikTok. First and foremost, it's about, for us as a newly established brand, creators are crucial and are crucial for us to really showcase how good our quality is, how good our price point is, how good our fits are, how to style the different products that we have. And I think an important bit of TikTok creator side is you don't need to have X amount of followers. You don't need to, as other social platforms, that you need to have a certain following for your video to blow up. We'll take creators on, they might have 100 followers, they might have 100,000 followers. For us, it doesn't make any difference. For us, really, it's a case of, okay, first and foremost, are you going to be representing our brand in regards to, have you got passion for the brand? For us, we're a very inclusive brand from a background point of view, from a size inclusive point of view, from what we sell. Doesn't matter how old or young you are, everyone can wear Kaiia. It's not a going out outfit, it's not an occasion outfit. So for us, it's a case of, okay, the more creators coming on board, the more diversification we can get, the better. And for us, it's a case of, okay, how can you showcase our brand? How can you create content that's going to fit? We have some creators that are literally showing a pair of joggers in their bedroom mirror, who are selling thousands and thousands of items on a monthly basis and making commission on that. So, these are just people who are just really just showing their product in a way that fits their vibe. It's not about, okay, them being not natural to what they would normally create. So it's about the creator staying true to themselves, but creating good content, because at the end of the day, the end customer wants to see authentic content that they can then relate to and say, okay, you know what, that hoodie, I could see on myself, or that jogger, I could see myself. And that content creator will just get trust. And on the back of that, our brand, Kaiia, will get trust as well. So for us, it's a partnership, really making sure the content creators that we're working with are delivering good content. And for me, that's the key. It's about good content. It's not about how much content. It's about quality over quantity, and us being able to extend that and using that creator as part of our community as well. Of okay, when the creator knows that they can make good commission and their content's blown up well with Kaiia content, you know, just keep reposting that, making more content. You know, we have content creators who work with us, and once we work with them and see the good results, they just want to carry on working with us. And likewise, you know, from our side as well. So again, it goes back to about using them content creators to extend your community, and likewise for them using Kaiia to extend their community.
Definitely. Flavia, I saw you nodding. I want to ask, because something that came up there that is interesting, I think, and it is quite different, is that people can sometimes confuse community with numbers, or particularly numbers of followers. Do you need to have a big following to be successful on TikTok, do you think?
I think, you know, echoing what both Jen and Qasim said, I think the way I always put it forward is community has never been defined by a specific number, but community is very much defined by engagement, whereas followers is very much of a number. And actually, no, absolutely not. It's really, and it's also what fits for your brand, right? So I think, as Jen said, looking for the top creators with larger followers, usually they might not convert the best versus like the smaller one might, because they might have less followers but way more engaged community for which they can maybe communicate, share with much more. A good way to split is a community stays engaged if they're a little bit acknowledged, right? So if you have 1 million followers, it's very hard to sort of like acknowledge everyone. But if you have a smaller community and you can actually, you know, acknowledge them, share with them, answer them, it makes them way more sort of, you know, attached to you as a creator.
Thank you. Now, the next element we're going to talk about, which is obviously important when it comes to shopping, is product. Kasim, could you kick us off and tell us what is your product strategy when it comes to TikTok? Essentially, what do you sell? Do you have a strategy behind what sells well on TikTok Shop?
So a few elements I want to touch on with this. First of all, you know, we don't have separate product for TikTok only. You know, whether we sell on our website, we also sell on TikTok. But what we see is with TikTok, and you know, for anyone who wants to be selling on TikTok, is once you are selling at a decent rate, can you back that product with stock? And that's the beauty of TikTok, is if you've got something and it's selling, can you just get more and more stock and really forecast how much can you sell? Because TikTok, once something sells, it can snowball very quickly. Can you manage your inventory levels? Can you manage your back in stocks? And with TikTok, that is really the beauty of it, of when something does well, whether it's from a live point of view, you'll carry on selling. If it's from an affiliate or creator point of view, you know, the more you sell of something, the more creators will request that product as well. So it's a case of, okay, really make sure, can you stock and keep your inventory levels up of your best sellers? That's first and foremost. Second of all, from a product point of view, we try keeping it quite interactive for our community, where if we've got a new collection launch, can we offer something to the community? Can we say, okay, if we've got a collection launching on 30th of September, we might say, okay, on the 29th of September, the night before, we'll do a special TikTok live launch where it's available TikTok only, so offer them exclusives. We might offer flash sales. We might offer just, you can buy a certain style that's just on TikTok only. So it's just about, again, engaging with the community and giving them back, because your customer who's buying off you on TikTok might not necessarily buy off your website. So you really want to make sure that you are looking after your customer on TikTok. And again, like I keep saying, it's about the community. Really make sure that they feel, I feel part of the community. For example, we have some customers who come on a live and they'll be bouncing off each other. They're like friends, and they'll say, okay, I've just bought this hoodie. And another person will say, all right, okay, I've just bought in this color. So it's a case of just make sure that just keep giving them the product that they want. New collection, new colors, but most importantly, your best sellers, can you keep them in stock so you can just keep selling on TikTok?
That sounds like a fine balance. I think that idea of, you know, you have to give them something, a reason to buy on the app rather than just going to the website. So definitely that idea of like launching early or fresh colors on TikTok Shop as that way of really driving, but then that proves that those items are going to do well when they are on your website. I think that's a very smart strategy. Jen, on the other hand, or maybe not the other hand, but ASOS obviously has a very large selection of items on your website. How do you decide what to put on? Well, I know the answer, but do you put everything on TikTok? If not, why not? And what have you found works particularly well? Do you have any sort of insights that you could share with our audience?
Yeah, sure. So we actually have a slightly different strategy to Kaiia, which is probably quite interesting to the audience in that you've got two different strategies as part of this webinar. So we've got some really great product. We offer a curation of that to our top TikTok shop audience. Essentially for us, it's giving a flavour of ASOS. It's, as we said earlier, it's being able to reach our audience, it's being able to kind of understand where they are, etc. So when we choose our product, we like to, I suppose, firstly, we like to offer head-to-toe product. So that really lends itself to some of the content and I suppose what the creators are looking for. You get ready with me's, your hauls, etc. Those kind of videos that creators tend to make quite often. However, even when you offer a head-to-toe product, what's really interesting that you see within TikTok is how much the creators mix and match the different items and style it in kind of completely different ways and unique ways that you just might not have expected. So that's definitely the first point. Second point is trend-led product. We know, particularly within social commerce, trends are really important. When something goes viral, it goes viral everywhere and you see the different products. We actually had one ourselves. Well, we've had a few over the summer, but leopard has really had a key moment. I'm sure everybody's seen a lot of leopard everywhere. We actually managed to utilise our test and react model as part of that, where we can respond to trends quickly. We can move from design to go live really fast, which is really important when you're looking at social commerce because times do move very fast. Things can have its moment, but actually things can also move on. We actually had a pair of leopard trousers that caught on and you would walk down the street, but predominantly you would see it on TikTok and these leopard trousers were everywhere. What was really interesting about that is how people had styled these items. So for instance, people had dressed them up. So they were going out in them. People had dressed them down, they might wear them with a hoodie, etc. Or actually, they're from our main collection, and there was all of a sudden a huge amount of maternity content that was created around them. So it's that part of how people are really styling them and uniquely making and adding their own interpretation to them. You can never really predict what product's going to go viral. That's what's quite interesting. You can see trends, you can see what's hot and what's not, but actually you have to provide people with the inspiration to be who they want to be. That's why they look at the creators, and you need the product to be able to back that. But you need to make sure that they've got that variety so that they can do that styling and do their own interpretations. That's what we're looking for when we choose our product for TikTok Shop. But is that flavour, kind of like an editor's pick? That's what you get from TikTok ASOS on TikTok Shop.
Like that idea of it sounds like you're really trying to facilitate the creators that we spoke about earlier to create the content that they want, but with those products sort of, embedded in them. I think that's a really, as you said, it is a slightly different strategy, but a very interesting one to share. Flavia, did you have anything to add on that? I think we've covered it quite well.
No, we really did. And I think it's important to highlight, both Qasim and Jen have different strategies, and there isn't the right or the wrong. It really depends on what you have to offer and how you're willing to offer it as well. So there isn't the right strategy about product on TikTok Shop. So it will be very dependent on, who you are, where you sell, and what you sell.
Okay, thank you. The next pillar we wanted to talk about, which you sort of touched on, but let's dig a little bit into it, is content, which obviously You have the creators, you have the product, and then they create the content. Flavio, I think this is the million-dollar question. I'm sure everyone asks you this every day, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What should brands and retailers be posting? What is the best approach to content on TikTok?
I think it's really, I actually had this conversation just earlier this morning. I think it's very important to mention that there's no right and there's no wrong on how you post content and what you post. And there's no secret sauce on what will be successful or not successful. I think everyone knows that when you go on TikTok and when you browse through content, like the content on TikTok is not about being the glossiest, the perfect life image, but it's about expressing and showcasing one's passion and really being able to translate some kind of like message through it. Going back to, Jen's example about the leopard pants and the content created, this is what works, it's being authentic and entertaining. Like I've seen men's product actually being promoted by a woman through a movement of women can wear it and being sold through women versus man and doing super well. So I think when it comes to content, there is no right or wrong, but it's more, I always say that, it can be quite daunting creating content on TikTok, right? Because there's so many filters, there's so many music, and you think of the hashtag and when should I post? And the reality is you need to create content for sure, because that's TikTok's mechanism, right? This is why people come to TikTok. They come to be entertained and to consume content, but it's really to understand what's working for you and what's not working for you and understanding that data. There's no right or wrong, right? It could be as simple as something, it could actually be a lot of the time, like the content created that works well is like a test trial or a mistake content, but it's so out of the blues and authentic and so entertaining that people actually click to it more than something that's super salesy. So I think like the advice I would give is it really needs it's what you need to test and try and understand what works for you and what doesn't, looking at the data, looking at how many conversion have you had through that video, how many views, what's the reach, and comparing it to sort of like the content that hasn't been working, with your videos that had less views as well. But again, I think for any brand that's a bit, that struggles with sort of content strategy, then go to creators. That's what they're here for. They're here to create content. That's sort of like their bread and butter. So rely on them. They do this with pleasure and for a living. So if you're not sure, sort of tap into the creator content community and then learn from them and start trying to do it yourself.
Definitely. I think that's a great plan for, as you say, you can look at what the creators are creating and then that can inspire. I think that's what TikTok, everyone inspires everyone. That's how trends grow and go so viral, and it's kind of the magic of the app, I think. When we were talking about preparing for this webinar, we did try and come up with some sort of rules of, if we are going to try and put it in black and white, there is no secret sauce, but if we are going to try, what would that advice be? And I know we originally said advising brands and retailers to aim to post 3 videos a day. Flavia, why is that a good number? Is it really about just getting out there and getting eyes on your content?
Yeah, yes, I think it's dependent, right? If you're a brand with a big community already and you have sort of credibility, then it's important to obviously create content to let your community know that what you have that's selling within your shop, right? But if you're a newer brand that's sort of starting their journey and that doesn't even have much of a community, you really need to create content to let your community know who you are and what you're about and give them a reason to follow or even to convert, right? Another really sort of like big piece to it is that the content you create is what's going to reach out there to your customers, to your followers, to the creators. It's what really is going to be sort of like your brand image, your brand identity, who you are and what you sell and what you're all about and what's your story. So that's also why it's really important. There's obviously an algorithm piece to it, right? Because the more content you produce, the more people swipe or like or share, and that's how also algo will recognize who you are, what you're selling, and so who to put forward you know, who to push that content to. So there's different pieces, but it is a fact that, you know, if you want to do well on TikTok Shop, content is a very big piece to it. And I like to say, you know, if you want to sell your products, and you need to let people know what you're selling, you need to create stories about their product, you need to be pushing that product, right? So content is really, really important. The rule of thumb, there's no rule of thumb, but of course, for me, for any brand that's sort of kicking off their journey on TikTok Shop, I always say 3 videos is sort of like the golden rule, if doable, of course.
Yeah. Over at Kaiia, I know when we talked about this, currently your aim is 2 a day, which is still sounds like a lot of content, but I completely agree with what Flavia said, is that you need to put your content out there, you need to put your products out there. How are you doing that, Qasim, and how are you sort of keeping up with all these different trends that are happening on TikTok?
Yeah, for us, it's a case of we have an amazing in-house team. So everything that we do is fully in-house, from a design concept all the way to buying the products, and then obviously the marketing side as well. So I think a key part of it is my in-house team realizes what TikTok is about, and that in-house content isn't about ramming the product down the customer's throat. You know, we have our lives, which is our salesy channel. You know, that is all about selling the product. You know, our in-house content is about, okay, you're going to like this word, Graeme, by the way. It's about Kaiifying trends. So, okay, if there's a current trend that's going, how can we put our stamp on that? If there's a current sound that's trending on TikTok, how can we utilize that sound but not be so obvious with it, or trend not be so obvious with it, and make it about Kaiia? So, for example, the colour of the season's burgundy. So we have an amazing couple of burgundy tracksuits. How can we then use that burgundy trend to really make sure, okay, we're showing that Kaiia has represented burgundy. We do have burgundy tracksuits or burgundy t-shirts, whatever it is, or other elements when we're releasing a collection or just general content. How can you utilize current trends and sounds and make it fun, make it playful, but at the same time, people in the end know that, okay, yes, she's wearing Kaiia. The girl is representing Kaiia in that content, and the comments won't be about the, oh yeah, oh, that was a fun video. It's all about, okay, when is that released, or is that in stock now? So the customer is enjoying the content, because at the end of the day, it is an entertainment platform. Yes, it is TikTok Shop, but people are coming on it for content and for entertainment. So how can you relate that content and make that about your brand? Because at the end of the day, we've created a brand on TikTok. It's not just about selling products. So how can we keep Kaiia at the forefront of the customer without shoving the product down the customer's throat? And that's the fine balance of making it fun and making your brand at the center of that content at the same time. And I think that's all about trial and error, you know, working, just shooting loads of content. You know, we can say this content will be good or that content will be good. You don't know. It's just about trying it, just being consistent with your posting as well. Like Flavia said, you know, getting a couple out, getting 3 out, whatever you're doing, but just make sure you're posting consistently and giving your content the best chance of being successful on TikTok.
Definitely. I think you've kind of just answered a question we've had from someone in the audience, that as a new brand, how do you get out there? And I think the consistency piece you talk about is really part of that, of just, you know, the more you put out there, the more it will grow, which I think is really, really great insight.
I definitely think so. You know, consistency and patience, you know, both. For anyone who wants to really start selling on TikTok, yes, people expect this overnight success story, but I hear quite a lot of people saying that, you know, you have to be patient with it. You have to have a strategy behind it. You have to be consistent, post lives, giving samples to creators, but be consistent and be patient, and, you know, trust in your plan, trust in the process.
Definitely. You mentioned lives, which I think is important to cover here. These are, for those that don't know, sort of live broadcasts with, you know, presenters from the brand speaking, selling products. People can, you know, buy there and then. These are very important to Kaiia, I know. Could you tell us a bit about this and any advice you have for people who want to give lives a go?
Sure, definitely. You know, Lives is a key part of our success. We go live 8 hours a day, and we have freelance presenters who come into our studio and do it in 2-hour shifts. We try covering off the morning, the afternoon, the evening. So again, it comes back down to the community. So it's about engaging with the community. We have customers, we have community members who are joining on the lives and just engaging with the presenters. You know, you've got some community members who are just coming onto the live just to have a chat with the presenter, or they might have a certain presenter, like the example I gave before, someone doing their coursework and just want to listen to a certain presenter in the background. So lives is important for growing your community. Obviously, you've got the sales aspect of it, where, you know, predominantly you want to obviously get the sell through on your lives. And again, it's about brand building, really getting your brand at the forefront of customers' minds of, okay, if they're flicking through TikTok and they see you live, that first look that they're having, they should be able to see, okay, for us, you know, that is Kaiia. So again, make sure your setup's right, make sure your sound is right in your lives, make sure your audio's right, make sure your setup's right from a visual point of view, where, okay, whatever you're selling, can the customer see the product? Is your angles on your lives right? And again, is the energy on your lives right? What are you trying to achieve from it? You know, are you looking for a more refined live? Are you looking for more of a crazy live where you just want to sell? There's no right or wrong way, but it's going to the second part of your question. If anyone start live, it's a very, very efficient way of trying to sell on TikTok. You can literally do it in your living room. You can do it in your garage. You just need, like I said, good audio, good visual setup. You're good to go. You know, source your product and start selling.
Yeah.
Energy.
As we said at the beginning, you know, that example we had, P. Louise, they're selling 1.5 million pounds worth of product of sales in one of their lives. Like, that is definitely something to aspire to, I think. I think it's really interesting how you talk about the community in lives, and I obviously researching for this conversation, I really did see that coming through, and it's so interesting. This kind of new way of shopping that is, like, you know, it's been around for a long time, but it's kind of really coming back and really effective. Jen, from the kind of the ASOS side, what content do you find your audience really responds to on TikTok? Do you have any tips around that?
Yeah, so people come to social media to be entertained. You can't forget that. Even when you're talking about TikTok Shop, that's why people are there. In some way, you could kind of think about it in that form of escapism. TikTok's algorithm also, as Bobby mentioned earlier, it's a lot less restrictive compared to some of the other algorithms that you find on social media platforms. So you're most likely to be served content that's interest-led, talking to a moment that's relevant to you, or maybe it's even just something, you searching for something that you're interested in. So actually, it all works slightly differently. So fashion brands need to move away from their standard approach of just using fashion influencers. What's different with TikTok is that it opened up kind of that creator landscape, which is far wider. Like we said earlier, you could go viral with no following or content that's actually not been edited. And this is also what really resonates with the ASOS customer when they're on TikTok. So sometimes it is thinking about things of what's an unexpected pairing? What did you not think about? What are being watched by your type customers, but they just didn't really realise that was going to be linked to ASOS, but they're the areas. And then it's actually that as a secondary to that, you might see content, you might recognise the product that they're wearing, and then you might kind of see the link and go from there in terms of the purchasing. But for us, it's that kind of content first. It's about kind of creating that brand awareness. For us, we've got a great platform. For us, TikTok Shop and TikTok complements that. It's an area for us to reach our target market, etc. So that's what's really interesting. Sometimes they might stay on TikTok Shop, sometimes they kind of might appreciate the unexpected partnership, and actually they get to know you as a brand, they get to know ASOS, they understand what ASOS is about, and that's also coming through in the content. That's what they see in terms of seeing your product on TikTok Shop. They see Asos as a brand and think, oh yeah, that's something I would like to be a part of.
Great, thank you. I think we've talked a lot about there not being a right or wrong answer, you know, give things a go, experiment, try a trend, go live, etc. But you know, the fashion industry more and more is becoming one that is led by data. And I know there is data here. You know, you can look in and see, you know, how many views or clicks or etc. But what I was going to ask you, Flavia, is what is good on TikTok or TikTok Shop? What does success look like? And are there any specific bits of data that, you know, the audience should be looking for to help somehow guide the kind of TikTok strategy?
Yeah, I mean, the data you'll look at will be very different from short videos to lives to obviously Shop tab. So the strategies are slightly different. I think for short videos, obviously what you want to see is potentially your conversion versus your views or your likes, because obviously conversion is, you know, your sales, and it really shows what's working within that video. So I think a key thing to look on short videos is your views are important, but your views might not be reflecting of who's converting, because keep in mind that views can have a reach beyond the UK, whereas conversion really is within the UK. So you might think, oh, wow, this video is doing super well. I had 2,000 views, but I only had, you know, very little conversion. It's because maybe it's reaching out to an audience that's outside the UK, but you can have a video with much less views and a really much higher conversion because it's really reaching within the UK. So I think that's a really important piece to it. I think for lives, it's so new that the way I like to present lives is think of yourself as if, I always say, you have like a pop-up shop on Oxford Street, and, you know, people might not know you. And there's so many different sort of metrics on your live streams, such as, you know, enter room rate, peak traffic, click to order, engagement. So I always go back to each metric, sort of like on the offline example. So let's say your enter room rate will be, imagine people walking into your shop. What are you going to do to make sure people come into your shop? You know, welcome them on your live, say, hey, Qasim, nice to meet you, come on in, or engage with them and make sure that people have this willingness to enter your room and stay. Click to order will be someone's actually interested in one of your products, and it's clicking to looking at that product. So there's a lot of different metrics, and happy to support anyone who has questions. But I think another one, and a key one, is if you want to increase your traffic within lives, there's three sort of like important ways of engaging. It's first engaging with your community, but make sure that your community is engaged and tell them, you know, keep on liking this, because if you like this, you know, it's going to help our traffic increase. If you forward this or share this live, it's also going to help us. And if you follow us, it's also going to help our traffic. So there's little, you know, like very simple pieces to add to it. I guess once you're live every day, 8 hours a day, like Kaiia, you naturally tend to forget to do these things. But those are like little tips and tricks that really, really help sort of like get people into the room, make sure people stay and are entertained, make people feel, you know, welcome and acknowledged within that room. So those are some of the data to look at.
Thank you, Flavia. We are running slightly out of time. So I just wanted to cover the last pillar quickly, which is trust. And it is obviously an important one. How are, you know, to get that conversion within the app, you need people to trust that, you know, putting the bank details in, you know, that the item will arrive, etc. Flavia, could you tell us a little bit about how, as a platform, you are kind of really making sure that that trust is built in?
Absolutely. I think the first thing to highlight is that there's no finish line at TikTok for providing like the best possible customer experience. We continuously like invest in to improve our offering, and it's a very, very, very key aspect for us. Obviously, the first one is verified sellers and brands, right? So, you know, if you shop on Asos, you know you're shopping from Asos, so you know that your product will be delivered or should be delivered, right? So that's a big one. We have like all the standard e-commerce ones, such as user reviews and rating, secure payment system, buying protection policies, real-time customer support, all of that in. And obviously, since, social commerce is still new, we're continuously reiterating what, safe and trust means on the platform. But the reality is, we have strict product guidelines as well. And there's a lot of products that can't be sold and that are moderated even before they're put on the platform. So we really make sure that, and we also have very strict shipping guidelines. I'm sure Kaiia and Asos can tell you about it, to make sure that the customer has a good experience, very strict IPR guidelines. So we continuously refine our model to make sure that, the customer will get their products, and it will be a good quality products. And if they're unhappy, they can very easily vouch their unhappiness, and the seller will know and potentially be penalized sometimes as well.
Definitely. Everyone's nodding. They've definitely experienced this. As we said, I think that really touches on this. We've talked a lot about things you should do, but there's obviously things that you shouldn't do as well. And I think that's definitely something we could cover in more detail if we had more time. I wanted to try and get to some audience questions before we do run out of time. One that I've seen come up quite a lot is around this idea of I guess it's price sensitivity, and whether, it does the current TikTok shop customer, are they sensitive around price? Are they only there for a bargain kind of thing? Does anybody want to take that on?
Yeah, I'll speak.
Mhm.
Having TikTok potentially had a reputation of this a couple ago, where it was potentially somewhere where you want to come in, but as you get the more reputable sellers on there, bigger brands on there, obviously you've got the luxury resale aspect of it coming on now. I think it's about what you're selling. Are you just a seller on TikTok, or are you a brand on TikTok? So for us, you could probably get £10 hoodies, £15 hoodies. You can get a lot cheaper hoodies, but for us, we created a brand. So for us, charging £35 for hoodies, which is a great price anyway, our customers know they're getting a Kaiia hoodie. They're not buying us to buy a hoodie. They're buying a Kaiia hoodie. And, again, the community will vouch for the great price that you're getting, the great quality you're getting. So I think it comes down to about, what are you trying to do? Are you a seller, or your brand selling? Again, same like with Asos, where if Asos is selling something, customers are going to Asos for the price. So it's about, are you going to sellers for the branded aspects of it, or are you going for the unbranded side where you want to buy as a bargain? I think there's plenty of scope for both sides of the basket, I'd say.
Yeah, and I'd completely echo that, even within the Asos side. So we only put our newest, freshest stock on there. Everything is full price. We do see a lot of the discounts, etc. But you, like Qasim said, you've got to understand why you're there as a brand, who your target market is, who your audience is, and who you're looking at. And you should never divert from that, no matter what platform you're on. So it's always making sure that you're staying true to who you are in that sense. And if you are there for the fashion authority, which is why Asos is there, then you shouldn't compromise on the price side. You should make sure you stay true to what you're trying to achieve.
Davi, somebody's asked specifically around, more premium luxury brands. Do you see TikTok Shop as a space for them?
I do. I actually do. Actually, not long ago, we launched luxury secondhand. And although it is secondhand, I remember it took us a while, and everyone's there's a lot of, the public's perception is it's a space to sell cheap product, and took us a while to push over the line for various reasons. And It was such a success. We have people buying Birkin bags for £11,000. So if you're asking me if there's a space for luxury, and if you're asking me if people are willing to spend money, or people have the means to, or if there's a need, I say absolutely, 100%. Whether it's the right time now, that's another question, but definitely think there is appetite and there's opportunity for anyone to join the platform, actually.
Somebody has asked around, well, there's been a few different questions, but kind of like, who is the TikTok shopper? I think, stereotypically, it's seen as, this Gen Z app, it's the younger generation, but are we seeing a more varied customer? So if there are brands or retailers out there who, maybe are aiming for an older customer, is there space for them on TikTok?
I can take this. So quite, I would say, I unconsciously always speak to people and unconsciously end up speaking about TikTok Shop and asking them if they shop on TikTok, wherever I am, on the underground, or if I'm queuing for coffee, it's always an organic. So I tend to do a lot of research, and I have to tell you that the amount of women that are 40 plus that spend most of their money on TikTok Shop is actually, I meet more older women spending their money on TikTok Shop than no younger. I think there's a space for everyone. I think it's wrong to say it's only for Gen Z, because TikTok is an app where you have a demography of users of every single age, right? Yes, we have a lot of Gen Z, but you have a lot of different people of different age, and a lot of them are actually converting. The one thing I would say is it seems to be quite trending that Gen Z tend to convert easily through creators, and versus the other generation better through brands. That is something that we see trending, but it's definitely a space for more than just Gen Z.
Thank you. There's been a
just
few...
to touch on that, sorry, Graeme, as well. Completely agree. For us, our customer demographic on TikTok, the age is actually higher than it is on our website. So, there's the answer yourself.
Definitely. Busting myths, I love it. We've had a couple of questions around, I think it came from the trust angle around, people, well, I guess one of the specific questions has been, what are return rates like? And obviously this is a hot topic in the industry at the moment, returns. Does anybody have an opinion on what return rates are like on the app? Qasim, maybe?
Sure. So our return rates on the apps are absolutely amazing. They're under 8%. For us being an athleisure brand, I think it helps. It's not occasion wear, it's not, fitted wear, it's quite relaxed wear. But just generally, I think, reviews speak for themselves, the fits speak for themselves, and the quality speaks for itself. So for us, I think that TikTok customer, again, it's not the case, even though they get free delivery, free returns, they're not there just to get 2-3 different items to return a couple. We see our return rates are absolutely amazing on the app, so absolutely no issue from our side at all.
Excellent. We've just had a question through, which is almost word for word one of the questions I was going to end on, so I'm going to use their wording. They have asked, if you have a super small team and are struggling to keep up, what would be the first thing you would do on the starting of your TikTok shop journey? Jen, why don't we start with you? What kind of one piece of advice would you give to people?
Yeah, I think it's definitely about what you're looking to go after as brand, and then the transactions come through later and off the back of that. So think what your brand vision is. Always start with that and stay true to that. So start there and then kind of build upon that. Give things a go. I think that's always really key. This is even what, it doesn't matter whether you're a large company like Asos, whether you're a small company, you've got to try. If you're not trying, then you're going to fall behind. So give things a go. Try and do it in the least investment ways possible. Then if it works, you can invest later. So think about how you can really start to get involved.
Great. Thank you. Qasim, why don't we go to you next?
Yes, coming from an entrepreneurial background, for me, we literally went through that journey with other platforms a long time ago. It's how we built our brands up, and it's about having a strategy, and it's about finding your USP. What are you trying to sell in the marketplace? What differentiates you? Why are people going to buy from you rather than other platforms? So again, if we look at the different aspects of TikTok Shop, okay, from a TikTok Live point of view, what can you do? Are you bringing energy to the lives? Are you doing the things that Flavia said before about, okay, looking at how are you enticing people into your shop, whether it's discounts, whether it's different offers that you can give, whether it's for first and foremost product that other people can't sell in their shops. Then it comes down to, are you consistent enough with your content as well? Whether that's content with creators, whether that's content on your own channel that you're posting. Consistency is the key. And again, going back to the actual question of what would you do first? If you want to do it properly, you have to do a bit of everything. And it's not time consuming. Even if you do one live a day for a couple of hours, or even just 1 hour a day, content creation at the start, you don't need to create too much. Even just do one video a day at the start, build that up as you get more confidence, as you see what works for you. And then from a creator's point of view, start small. Start with 5-10 creators a week. These are the basics. There's always enough time in the day to do that. If that isn't, sleep less, work more.
Great, thank you, Qasim. Flavia, I think we've covered a lot there. We've covered a lot in this 60 minutes. Could you, if you were to pin one thing to the wall and say, this is my advice, what would it be?
I think I would go back to like the foundation of TikTok itself, and in staying authentic, entertaining, and relatable. But also, if you're going to join TikTok Shop, you're gonna have to think of going full in, because you need time. Social commerce is new, and social commerce involves content, moving away from traditional shelf storing products where you could photograph them and let them to sell. Unfortunately, in today's generation, people want entertainment, people want content, and we all know it takes time. So if you're willing to make TikTok Shop a success, give it some resources, some time, and I think, well, while doing this, stay authentic and relatable and entertaining.
Excellent advice. I think we could talk about this for another hour, but unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap up. So thank you so much to our panel for sharing all your insights. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Qasim. Thank you, Flavia. Thank you to our partner, TikTok, and thank you all for joining us. That's all for today. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.